And good morning with this Career Recon 101 course with my good friend Geronimo Moreno. I always wanted to have Geronimo go, Geronimo, but enough about that. He is one of my many colleagues and friends, and he's with a company that does a lot of IT, and we'll learn a little bit about him. And I have my good friend Tony Hale on the phone as well. So let's get started, shall we? Um, Let me make sure I get the right slide in there. Um, our presenters are Geronimo and myself. Geronimo, would you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to work for the company you're at now?
Yes. So my journey with dynamic advancement started just about almost 21 years ago when I started my career in the Air Force. My first base was actually stationed with the founder of the company. We lived in the dorms together. Good times, good times. But it was one of those things where we stayed friends, good friends. He retired from the Air Force a couple of years before me. Started this training company doing IT cybersecurity training, and it took off where he reached back. I was getting ready to retire, and he asked me to come help him run the company. And so I actually changed my plans. I was at Fort Bragg Pope Army Airfield when I retired and was considering staying in the Carolinas, and opportunity came. So, I moved down here to San Antonio to help grow this company.
So let's talk about the opportunities in cyber and IT programs and kind of like a career path. So our focus today is to talk about the career path that people need. Then we'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn and how you can use LinkedIn to advance your career, whether it's in IT or cyber or air conditioning or any of the other fields that are available to people that are leaving the military after they've served our country. So I've got
Oh,
that slide up.
okay, yeah.
I'm just going to go
Yeah.
through this. Let's just do a timeline here, okay? So you start here, right, with customer service representative?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And to kind of put it into practice, all the other industries that you named, they're now IT based. Everything, any company dealing with customers, 9 times out of 10, they're using some means of electronic payment processes, which means they now have, information, payment data. There's data being used. Not to mention, everything has been switched over to IT. People are using computers to call customers, even if they need to set up an appointment to get their AC maintenance and worked on. 9 times out of 10, that information and everything being used is technology working with a computer, right? So what a lot of people I think overlook, if they want to start a career in IT, a good entryway is a customer service representative position, because most companies will have that. If you look at a company like Hulu, an AC company, maybe a construction company, you got to interface with someone working customer service. And those people at those positions are using database technologies, which people call, they're known as CRM systems, customer relationship management systems. So someone who's interested in a career in IT, but maybe they don't have that background with their military experience, this is a good entryway into the industry, because um the requirements aren't that high to get in. This is entry level. You can do a program like this, get qualified, get your feet wet, get the experience to get in the game, and then from that point you can start building the experience you need to get to the higher level IT, and then maybe cross over to cybersecurity if they want to.
So we're looking here at the timeline. You got the computer user support specialist. Tell me what kind of skills a person might need for that.
Yeah, so let's take that same person that transition. You know what? I didn't do IT when I got out, right? Or before I got out, but I want to. I started my career in IT as a customer service representative. I get my experience. Once I'm about 2 years, 3 years experience, I can go back, get some more training, some more IT skills under my belt. Hopefully, I've picked a company that's willing to invest in me, right? Um, and I use that to go build my skills under the computer user support specialist, to where now I can be an administrator of some of that technology I was using as a customer service representative.
Hey, Geronimo, question here. What does a typical person make in that kind of position?
I'm sorry, you cut out. Can you repeat the question?
What's the average salary for someone at this level?
The computer user support specialist?
Yeah.
It depends on what part of the country, but I would say average between 40, 50,000, maybe more if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast. But on average, between 40, 50,000.
Okay. And then from there, we go back to the next level, which would be this kind of position.
Yeah. So, and I want to make it clear to, anyone watching this, right now we're living in an information age and people so loosely throw out the terms IT and cybersecurity, right? There is a difference. There's a spectrum, right? On one end of the spectrum, you have IT, which that's dealing with someone touching, the equipment, maybe working on the server, maybe some cloud technology. But here at this information security analyst mark, that's someone who's making a transition from, maybe being the technical hands-on physical guy to now they're crossing into the cyber realm of things, where this is where they now start doing some cyber defense, protecting that information, learning the skills they need to keep everything safe, protect that bottom line, fighting a different kind of war, if you will. And this right here would take 3 to 5 years. And I highlight that because most of the certifications you would need in this program, you would have to be able to prove at least 3 years paid experience, which the first 2, they lead up to that.
So this brings up a comment we've heard before. What we're having is a lot of people think that they're going to go right into a cybersecurity analyst and all that right after they get out of the military, after you complete 3 to 6 weeks of training. And you're saying it takes 3 to 5 years to get there. How can people make sure they're talking to a legitimate training resource? What would you tell them to look for?
Expectation management, right? If I know I've heard that when I was still active duty, ask the right questions, because there are some people in the professional development space, they're just looking to make a sale, right? They may not be, they may not really care about you and your goals. They're just trying to fill a seat in the class. Oh yeah, sure, you're good. 6 weeks, you're good to go. I would just say be wary, ask the right questions. They should be asking you questions as well. They should be asking you, hey, so what exactly do you want to do? Because, my team, when we talk to customers, if we're not asking the customer, hey, what exactly do you want to do? Do you want to work in cloud? Do you want to do help desk? Do you want to, work cybersecurity? If they're not asking those questions, they don't really care. They're just trying to make a sale. So I highlight that to, anyone that's considering, using any type of benefits, whether it's your VA benefits or anything, make sure you're asking the right questions, but make sure they're asking you the right questions too. Because if they're not asking you questions, they don't care. They're just trying to make a sale, and you have to protect yourself.
So wouldn't another good question be to ask him about people that graduate from the course, to talk to people that have been successful alumni as well?
That's good point. Good point. Maybe Google is your friend, right? Look at the reviews and look at the comments and see what people are saying. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of any type of professional development is to help you either get a job or a promotion. I know when I was active duty, my professional development was part of my, review packages if I'm going to make the rank or not. Same here. If it's not leading to a job or a promotion, what's the point? And you want to look at those review comments from alumni students to see if they're having that type of success.
So if you wouldn't mind, let's just go through the 4 levels again. So you got customer support representative, This is what your company teaches as far as the technology?
Yes. So this is that baseline levels for someone who wants to do IT, but absolutely no experience. This is where we help them get the fundamental experience. And if you see, some people might see on there professional selling skills. I'm like, why the heck is that part of a IT training program? Well, my background, what I did in the Air Force was IT and cybersecurity. And what we've learned is if you've ever worked, with the IT geek, we're not typically the best communicators. We can talk nerd, but you have to be able to equate what you do to the business objectives, right? And
Right.
the way we teach that is through selling skills, because those are the skills that teach you how to articulate what you're doing and match that with the strategic goals of your company. If you can't do that, you're no good to me. You're no good to the organization you want to be with. So we included that as part of the program. We will teach you how to effectively communicate to your coworkers and colleagues, as well as teaching stuff, the soft phone technology, teaching people how to use the virtual phones to contact customers, which, indirectly that's teaching them technology they didn't know they were learning, right? Email technologies, no matter what you're doing, everyone's using email, right? But might not be effective and efficient when you're using it. And these are also some of the certifications that you will have. So in a program like this, you're leaving with 4 certifications on top of the certificate of the overall program to show to a potential employer, hey, I'm qualified for the job. Let me get in, let me get my experience.
Then you move on to this level.
So moving up, again, This is that 1.5 year, 3-year mark. I got some experience. Now you're ready to start doing some more administrator type work. Using this program that we have here is based on the modern workplace framework that Microsoft created. And it's good to highlight that, with things that are going on right now, a lot of people who have to telework, they were forced to start being familiar with this, with, doing things what we're doing now, these virtual conferences, collaborating with, colleagues from home. This teaches them what they need to work on the cloud technology, the Microsoft 365 applications, and make them an effective administrator for those type of technologies.
And then we've got this. This is the next level. Talk a little bit about this. What does it mean by defensive cyber operations?
Defensive cyber ops. So that's where, like I said earlier, you're fighting a different kind of war. So, in the early days as a criminal, if you wanted to steal money, you had to actually break into a physical space, a bank or a safe or something, right? Now, the new target is the cyberspace. Now, criminals are breaking into your, Nintendo account. If you have a Nintendo account, if they break into that, they can steal the same money that they used to have to break into a bank to get access to. So when you're talking defensive cyber ops, these people here are the ones that are protecting organizations from that. So now there's a term, a cyber defender, right? Yeah. This program here is teaching those skills that make you valuable to an organization, because now you start learning how to protect that bottom line.
And the other thing is helping people stay within, the policy. It says workplace security administrator. So this is where you help people make sure that they follow certain practices and procedures.
Exactly. So this is where, and this kind of matches what I used to do, information assurance in the Air Force. Same thing. This is part of that. Make sure you have your CAT card. Don't leave your CAT card plugged in. That, rigmarole. People hate it, but it's necessary, because one thing that never fails is the weakest link in cybersecurity is normally the end user. So you have to protect the user against themselves. And this is the program that will teach you how.
And finally, this is at the top of the heap in your career field, a computer information systems manager.
Yes. And when you're talking cyber, this is what I like to call the creme de la creme. This is where you start doing the high level cybersecurity manager, cybersecurity director. This is where you're now managing and overseeing the analyst and making sure they're doing everything correctly to protect the users, protect the networks, protect the bottom line, protect intellectual property. This position right here, when you finish this program, you're qualified to do it from a high level. And this is minimum 5 years experience, because the certifications you get in a program like this, you have to be able to prove 5 years paid experience doing cybersecurity.
Well, Geronimo, thank you for this. Now we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn, and I got a request from Tony if I could take a look at this one person's profile, which I was doing in between switching these slides. So I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm going to go to the other share, and new share screen. Screen 3, no, screen 4, share. And we've got, he submitted this LinkedIn profile from Jesse Hicks. Jesse, if you're watching this, most important thing that I would tell you right now is to get a photo, and we'll talk about that. The second thing that you're missing is the opportunity to address the backdrop or the banner. And then lastly, you don't have an about section. And in just a couple minutes, we're gonna show you all the elements, and hopefully by the time you finish this, you go, okay, I can do this. It's pretty simple. So with that, I'm going back to our slide deck there. Give me a second to stop the share here. We'll see our smiling faces one more time, and we'll go back to this. So one of the things that everybody needs to know, especially guys like you, Jesse, is what's your purpose for starting a profile, okay? It looks like your purpose is to network or build, keep you informed of things in the heavy equipment industry. It can help you find mentors. Last night we did a program with my good friend Dan Collins talking about how to find mentors, and I will send that to Tony Lee Hale so you can look at that. It can help you convey your credibility in your certifications, such as project manager, PMP. So, Geronimo, what would be, if you're in the IT industry, what would be an industry thing you would want people to know about?
I would definitely want them to know about my credentials. That goes back to if I take the time to go get any type of training and certification, I'm showing it off. Let me show you what I bring to the table, and here's the certification to speak to that.
And then, of course, when you're looking into a company, you can also find out information about that company. So if you're looking for a job specifically, you can find people that can open the door to possible employment. And of course, the last one, which is assisting job seekers by exposing new job opportunities through connections. Okay. So mentors, a real key point. Networking, kind of difficult to do in these times of COVID-19, but you can do a lot of that online. Again, we've talked a little bit about this in some previous webinars. So Jesse and Tony, I'm going to send you some more information on a couple of other upcoming events. Research. What do you want to know about that company? You know, if you come into a job interview and you say, hey, I know this about your company, and this is what I like about your company, this will put you on the top of the interview list when people that are hiring look at you and talk to you either on the phone or in person, okay? And of course, professional status, and lastly, of course, finding a job, which everybody in the military seems to understand, but they overlook those other aspects. So, communication style. Jesse, I'm looking at your profile, and you don't have this resume style speak, but you do have what I would call a first-person profile to start with. I would love to talk to you some more. I'm going to send you a connection request and hope that we can talk soon. I want you, Jesse and Tony, to understand that your LinkedIn profile is like a newspaper. Do you remember that newspaper We have these restaurants in San Antonio called gyms. You ever been to a gyms, Geronimo?
I have.
I remember the rack of those newspapers, kiosk outside, right?
Hmm.
And you hope that the four quarters would get you a newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I get it. Well, in a LinkedIn profile, this created just like that concept. You've got a photo, you've got the headline, and you've got the about section. Okay. So these are the things that you want to have in your profile. So, Jesse, I'm looking at your photo as I go through these slides. All right. You have what I call the gray balloon. And it's kind of hard to find you in a room full of other people if you don't have a photo. But more importantly, the thing you should understand is that staffing people will not look at you past that first impression or the first time they look at you without a photo. I'm going to show you somebody in just a second that transformed himself from the gray balloon into a real person. We get a lot of times, we get what I call low resolution stuff. Some people want to think that their LinkedIn profile is like their Facebook profile. I see this a lot, especially in military. Usually it's the husband and wife. You can always tell whoever the spouse is, they're kind of off the picture or in the picture. And these are the elements that you want, Jesse, for your profile shot, okay? Headshot, professional dress, neutral background. Now, this is the guy that had the gray balloon. And when I talked to him through the Veterati program, when I said, Abel, where is your photo? So that afternoon, he put on a coat and a nice shirt and had his girlfriend shoot this with an iPhone 8. And 2 days later, he had 2 job offers. So, Geronimo, if you were looking at somebody on LinkedIn, what would be your impression if you didn't have a photo at all?
I wouldn't have an impression. I'll just move on to someone else that does.
Okay. This is my friend Jimmy Bono. He went to a job fair, and the reason I put this photo up is you can get great photos at a job fair. However, you need to document the time and the name and email address and contact points for the photographer. Because sometimes when you sign in, especially if you're writing your name in, they don't always understand how to get in touch with you. So I often tell people that, let's say you had a photo today at 2 o'clock at a career fair, and a week from now you haven't heard from this guy, then you would write him back and say, Dear Mr. Photographer, I had a picture taken by you at 2 o'clock on May the 13th at this event. Here's hoping you can find me. Thank you very much. That's what I would tell you. You know, for the most part, that's been usually the problem with people not getting their picture in a timely manner. And of course, the last is to go down to your local JCPenney's or Wally Mart to get a professional photo. And as for the military photo, if you're still on active duty, I would keep that until about 6 months before your actual departure for military service. Now let's talk about the hidden headline. Okay. Jesse, you've got not this style of headline. You've got more of this kind of headline, okay? But what you might want to do is look at this style of headline. It says, heavy equipment mechanic looking for further opportunities after I leave the military, right? And here's a friend of ours that you know, right, Geronimo, Don Gleason? You met Don. Right? Look at this. Look at how he's got 3 headlines in the course of one profile. Title, second headline, and then an all-important third headline. Because you're going to see in a minute why all 3 of these are important, because when you look at a person's profile and you look at it from a mobile device, the only thing you're going to see is the profile shot and the headline. And you can see how the banner photo is very important to the overall impression a person makes. I know with looking at your profile, you've got that image on the back of yours, so it kind of shares with people your expertise and the things that you do. Right, Geronimo?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do we get to that lovely extra headline? So this is what you do. You put the first name and your last name, and you put a comma. Now, if you don't have if you have a regular name, because my name is Matt Scherer, and I used to think that I was the only Matt Scherer in the world, I put a middle initial in there. In my case, it's my first initial, and that way I can tell people, well, you can go to D.Matt Scherer and you can find me. Then I put in my last name, the lighthouse keeper, and then I put a headline like this, which has changed a couple times, but that's how you would do that. Does that seem pretty easy to you, Tony and Geronimo and Jesse?
I think I can manage.
Think you can? Okay. Now the backdrop photo looks like this. And what you do is you click here, and with that you can put a photo in there, and it's 1400 pixels approximately across, 425 down, and you can manipulate it. But the thing that I've learned is you notice where Tom Sawyer's picture is on the left. It's going to take a key part of the real estate, so you have to adjust for the real estate. And if you would like to get a copy of the new template for putting that picture in properly, please call me or contact me, because I'd be happy to send you that. And then, of course, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like on the backdrop. And this is what it looks like in a mobile setting. Okay. One of the things that I think that most people in the military don't understand is that when their job duties change, like with yours, Jesse, if you move to another company, you want to make sure you update that. Don't overlook the subliminal message from your background photo. And then finally ask someone who knows you to review your headlines. You want to be able to real clear about what you're trying to say. Okay, we're almost done with this short presentation, but the last part, and probably the most important part, is the about section. And the about section is like fishing on a nice Sunday afternoon, trying to catch some fish, and thus it's the about section that's really important. And so we have this. I see a lot of this, demonstrated history of working in the food, whatever industry, and strong business development skills. Geronimo, if I had $20 for every time I saw the word demonstrated or experience or strong business development, where would you like to go? Where would you want your bachelor party to go? How about we go to Asheville for a week, right? If your girlfriend, fiance, wife would let you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's where we're going to go. Okay. So if I had that, we'd have the money to do that, and we'd be able to fly first class, right?
Yep.
This is a first person profile, but here's the 4 key elements, right? What's your short mission statement? What's your goal? What's your call to action? And lastly, what are your key skills? So when we talk about all those key skills, like all those certifications, obviously the most important one should be somewhere in the headline, but the rest of these, all these skills, all these string things, like customer service, team building, and all that should go in the bottom part of the profile. And the last thing you should understand is you only get 18 words to make an impression on someone. And so if you don't believe that, just look at anybody's profile, and those 18 words are like, okay, this is what is unique about me. So Jesse, I'm looking at your profile, and I would say I'm looking at a future after I leave the military in the middle of July of this year. Those kind of things. Again, I'd be happy to help you, but really the thing I want you to understand is that you've got to make a key point within the first 18 words. And so that's the last part of my short briefing. There's so much more to LinkedIn, but we just covered the basics today. Again, If you would like to reach out to Geronimo about opportunities within his company, here's how you would do so. Operators are standing by. Is that right, Geronimo?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And if you
And
call
then,
now,
but they will be. And of course, I just finished the 3rd edition of this book. It's available on Amazon and other fine booksellers.